The Land and Water and UW Extension meeting will come to order. Was the meeting properly announced? Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think somebody over there needs to eat. I can hear some background going on.
We have a microphone on.
No, you can't mute this. That one has to stay on. There's somebody else that's on audio.
Okay.
County boardroom is.
I think everybody's physical, but
Jakey,
here.
Mullins,
Here.
McLaughlin,
Here.
Krug,
Here.
Limmer,
Here.
Quick,
Here.
Olson, here.
Okay. Going on to the agenda, I'd entertain a motion, excuse me, to approve our agenda as written. Bruce is first on the motion, and Scott Krug is the second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Seeing no nays, the agenda is approved. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the July 5th committee meeting notes? Are there any corrections to those meeting minutes? Seeing none, if there are no corrections, the minutes are approved to the July 5th committee meeting. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the July 14th, 2022 committee tour meeting minutes? Seeing that their eyeballs looking at me, I'll assume that everybody has. Are there any corrections to those? Okay. If there's no corrections, the minutes are approved to the July 14th, 2022 committee tour meeting minutes. Okay, we're gonna do this again because we want everybody to match faces to names. So if we could have the UW Extension staff maybe stand up and just introduce again and let me know if this gets old, because then we're gonna test people and see if they know who is who. Okay, go ahead, Lynn.
Linda Arvison, support staff.
Sheila Michaels, Health and Wellbeing. Angela B. Smith, Food Wise Coordinator.
Natasha Paris, Regional Crops Educator.
Evan Hepburn, 4-H Program Educator.
Laura Schultz, Support Staff.
And Pat Wagner, Area Extension Director.
All right, thank you, everybody. Okay, so we're gonna go right into Pat's Area Extension Director's report, if we could.
I'm standing over here. Is this okay if I use the microphone? Because we're recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So welcome again. Good to see everybody. My name again is Pat Wagner. My big things that I've been working on since the last time we met is we are getting ready with the budget season. So you've seen that we've proposed a budget here for Adams County, but I work in the other 4 counties, and so I've been doing that as well. And now I'm in the process of gearing up to do performance reviews. I'm responsible to review the process and procedures of Sheila, Angela, Natasha, and Evan. So if you have any feedback that you'd like to give me, negative or positive, let me know. I would take that and add that to their, what we call our midpoint summary review. So they have to have that submitted to the University of Wisconsin as part of their process being an educator in the system. And with that, I will tell you that what we've included in our report today are the paper copies, or you have a digital copy of the educators' reports to keep your meeting as concise as possible. We did not ask them to each present something every time, but rather if you have questions at this time, we'd like you to ask the educators. And this month, we did not include a special presentation like Sheila did last month, because we knew that you'd have time that you'd want to talk to us about our budget. So with that, I will open the floor for questions you might have of our educators.
Does anyone have any questions for the UWX staff on their educators report? I think you guys are in the clear. All right, no questions, so we're gonna go to the staffing update, Pat.
Well, Laura already had introduced herself, but I'm gonna make her stand up again. She is our new hire as the part-time support staff person. She is taking a role that's slightly less hours than what our Larry Arneson, who retired at the end of May. He's at home enjoying life there. Laura Schultz, welcome to Extension in Adams County.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself? Keep it brief.
I was an educator for 31 years before retiring in June, and I just can't sit and figure out what to do with my day-to-day basis, so I decided to apply for a job, and thank goodness they took me in.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go on to the financials. They were attached. Are there any questions on the expenses or revenue? I'm seeing no questions. Okay, we are moving on then to the 2023 UWX Department proposed budget. Did everyone get a copy of that? On the agenda, there was a link.
It looks like she has it open on the screen too.
Okay. Excellent. Go ahead, Bruce.
I tried to open it again and it says Megan is the owner of this. And it won't let me, it wouldn't let me open it in the PDF.
Like it again?
Madam Chair,
Thank you very much. Kevin gets an A, so he
Yes,
gets a
yeah.
review.
I make that note. This minute.
Hold on one second. Okay, Cynthia?
I was going to kind of assist a little bit that when there is a Google document out there and you cannot get access, somewhere in there is a permission, like you have to look for a little button that says ask for permission. And then that'll shoot it to the owner and then they'll grant you permission that way. But you guys should have access, so that's something we need to double check on our site.
So what-
Thank you. Did everyone hear Cynthia? Bruce, did you hear that also?
Yes, I did.
Okay, for the ask permission. Thank you, Cynthia. Okay. Are there any questions, concerns on the proposed budget? Bruce?
How easy is it in the future to compare it from the previous budget? We don't have that in here, do we? Yeah.
It's on the left-hand column.
That's
2022.
2022.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the
Like, here's
previous.
last year, you want more than the 20, and here's the proposed.
That would be the one.
When does the budget begin?
January 1. So if you look at the line item here, this is in revenue that we proposed. This was last year, $250 in the far left column under original budget, and then the revised budget stayed the same, and you guys approved it at the end of 2021. So it went into effect for January of 22. At this point, fiscal year activity as of July 25th, $37.50 were spent in that, or I'm sorry, earned, that's income. And so we proposed the same amount for $250 for the 2023 budget. That makes sense?
Yes, thank you. And then I just, are we allowed to open the discussion now for single line items or are we doing the whole budget?
Certainly.
Well, I understand fuel, but if we approve 2022 and actually spent 900, why do we go to 4,000 on fuel? Mileage travel.
Madam Chair,
Cynthia?
okay, I would like to explain the budget process that perhaps maybe this will help a little bit. This that's being presented now is coming direct.
Can
Can you hear me?
Second, is everybody able to hear Cynthia? Okay, so we have to turn you up, Cynthia, hold on.
All
How
right,
did we do
sorry.
that? Never tested
Do
it.
you want to say testing 1, 2, 3? No, see, so you turned us up, but not, okay.
Well-
Testing, testing, testing,
Yes,
Much
testing.
better, thank you.
Okay, so I think what will help everyone is kind of understand the process, the budget process as it stands now. We are currently working on improvements going forward, but the way it stands right now, what you have before you today is a preliminary budget, so this is coming directly from the department head. The next step that's involved in this process is that the finance director and me will look at this stuff in detail with the department head, and that's where those challenges are going to come in that are being brought up right now. You know, why are we budgeting this when fuel costs are going up? That kind of analysis is done at a later period. What you guys are looking at is a preliminary directly from the department head, so it is a very rough draft. Do I like this process? No. Going in the future, when you guys are presented with a budget next year, it will be already reviewed by me and Kyle and the department head, so that what you're looking at is a draft final that will then move on to admin fine. So I don't like this process, because what will happen is if you guys recommend any changes now, this stuff is going back and forth and it can get very confusing. So I just want to kind of maybe enlighten everyone about the current process versus a potential future process.
Yes, Phil?
But should probably be pointed out too, that we're just a little more than halfway through 2022.
Are you using a microphone?
Your mic.
I'm sorry. It should be pointed out that we're only a little past halfway mark through 2022. So, I mean, those figures, you're looking at essentially just a smidge more than half the year.
Madam Chair?
continuing that, if you don't mind, then these numbers are effective as of July 31 or June 30.
June 30.
I think that there's a date on the budget that says that was pulled on the 25th.
7/25/2022.
Yeah, it's July 25th.
Then we can just, if this situation is the way it is, then we can just move on until we get a budget that we can look at and move through. Or answer to, I should say.
So I had a conversation with Cynthia this morning, because I was a little confused as to what our committee was supposed to do. And so she had suggested what I'm about to say. And this is, I would entertain a motion to move this proposed budget forward in the budget process to include the finance director and county manager, with the understanding that any changes will come back to the committee for approval before moving on to the administrative and finance committee.
You're making, you can.
No, I would entertain a motion.
Yes, I make that motion.
Okay, Bruce is the first,
Verbatim.
Scott is a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed, motion is passed. So this will be forwarded on to Cynthia and Kyle to deliberate upon. Okay,
Madam Chair, sorry. Madam Chair.
say that again, Cynthia?
Oh, okay, one more thing about the change in the budget process going forward. When it impacts the committee, what we're looking for at the committee level is direction as far as projects and goals, not so much the numbers, because the numbers are going to be operational and that'll be internal. You know, we're going to be the ones comparing prior year. You know, we're going to actually look back 2 years to see if there's a pattern. So we will be diving into the detail that way, but perhaps the committee level is more of a, more of a broad horizon type thing. Headed, make sure that their goals are in line with what we have set for the committee, and what maybe those measurement points are as far as goals and capital purchases going forward.
So Cynthia, there's a special project, $6,000. Is that something that we should discuss for 2023, putting money aside for that in the budget? Or some similar project?
Madam Chair, as it relates to capital projects, absolutely. You guys kind of need to know what's on the horizon. This is what's now going to go into the next step in the budget process. So especially as it relates to capital projects, we want to know your take on it. Is this the direction we want to go? And Kyle, do you have any input on that?
No, I think you pretty much summed it up.
Can I make a clarifying comment? I'm sorry.
Certainly, Pat.
The special project you're referring to, the second grouping there on the front page where it says 46726 special project revenue. Okay, so that's revenue, which the majority of that is the postage we receive annually from the USDA federal government that comes into the extension office for us to mail things out. So it's not county money, it's a revenue source that we get so that we can do all of our mailing. So although it's labeled project, it was a name that's probably been given to the line item at some point. Kyle, maybe you can clarify how those titles come up.
Yeah, the title's been there. It predates me actually, so it's been there over 5 years for that line item. We are able to change descriptions, but we have an extensive chart of accounts, so the availability of account numbers or descriptions may be limited.
So Pat, are there some special projects that we should be talking about at this time?
We don't have any capital outlay plans, so related to a special project that way, that would be an expense to the county, there would be none. Let's see, numbers on the back that I know you referred to, the $4,000. We did discontinue the E. coli project. That was a $3,000 line item and moved some of that money up. What you'll actually see in the extension office staff situation is that post-pandemic, our staff are getting out more and they're able to do the kind of programming that they did prior to 2020. So our mileage numbers will go back up. They weren't up obviously in the past because of them not being able to go places and interact with people. Another one I tried to talk Linda out of was newspaper publications, but she said you have a drainage board and the drainage board requires advertisement in the newspaper. And so although we'd like to reduce that down to less than $800, newspaper advertising in Adams County is not cheap. And that's the means by which you have gathered the names for the drainage board that affects not only the extension office, but the land and water department. Is that correct, Dustin?
Yes.
Okay. And then the last part, just we have historically, extension staff would do programs where they would collect a fee for programs like pesticide applicator training, maybe there was a master gardener training, maybe there was something related to co-parenting. And over time, you always charge a little bit more so that maybe you could use some of the revenue that you generated there for some educational programming in the future. So we have accumulated over the last 25 years, probably, how long have you been here, Linda? 20 years. So in that special project expenditures there at the bottom, it's referring to dollars that we would spend out of those non-lapsing funds to try to get some of those accounts, use those funds for some of the things rather than always using the current levy dollars. Okay.
Okay, Pat, thank you. Are there any questions for Pat, Bruce?
Last month, we approved an addition for cattle.
For livestock, regional
Livestock.
educator, that would, thank you for reminding me of that again, good.
And where is that in here? Where would that be in here?
If you look on the first page under contracted services, so you have those revenues at the top, then it's on the left-hand column, 55620, and if you go past regular salaries down to contracted services, the total number we put in the budget is $102,250. That includes the following: for Sheila Michaels and Evan Henthorn, who are both full-time extension educators, the contracted service fee this year is $44,900. Natasha is a regional crops educator with 4 counties, so she's $11,225, and a regional livestock educator would be an additional $11,225. That makes a grand total of $112,250, and extension gives you a $10,000 credit for the first educator to make a total of $102,250.
Thank you.
Would you please repeat again, what did we approve for the, in the search for a cattle gentleman, cattle woman, whatever?
It'd be a livestock educator, so that person could do more than cattle. they could do cattle and swine and sheep and
Livestock.
livestock.
Okay, and what did we budget for that?
That would have been an $11,225, and that individual would be shared with the 4 counties, Adams, Washera, Marquette, and Green Lake.
And the search for that is where?
Has not begun yet. Marquette County did not have a July county meeting, so we need to get their support of that. So far, Washera, Adams, and Green Lake have supported that moving forward, and wanting to put it into the 2023 budget. So I'm waiting for that meeting, which is next week, Tuesday.
I have a question, Madam Chair. I heard the administrator tell us that we would be more involved in projects and goals, but did she give a timeline on any of this? Like when the budget needs to be approved? When do we, how much time do we have to go over projects and goals?
Cynthia, do you want to answer to that?
Madam Chair, the next deadline that we have, as far as meeting with department heads and analyzing this stuff, is September. And Kyle, how is it then that we communicate or get, well, I guess this meeting right here is to kind of get an idea about the goals and projects and such. So what do you?
Yeah. I can expand on that a little more. I got the timeline pulled up. So September 2nd is when all the budgets and supplemental worksheets are due to Cynthia and myself. September 6th to the 16th, then we're going to be meeting with every department head and going through their budgets with them. September 21st, we'll have a department head meeting regarding the preliminary budget and how it's looking after we've had all these meetings with department heads. September 30th, then admin and finance is going to review the preliminary budget. And then September, October timeframe, then we'll come back to supervising committees or oversight committees to go over any changes with the departmental budgets. So you see on the budgets here, we have the department proposed, and then the blank column there, that's county manager proposed budget. So you'll see those changes reflected there from what the department submitted to then what the county manager has. And October 7th, admin and finance is going to review the budget presentation. October 18th is going to be the budget presentation to the county board. And then about mid-October, October 19th, admin and finance is going to finalize the proposed budget. And then November 15th is when the public hearing happens for the budget.
Did that answer your question?
Somewhat.
Okay,
I'd like to go back to,
Bill, you need to use your microphone. No worries.
yeah, Pat, in the hiring of a livestock specialist, would we have that person possibly on board? We just haven't discovered it yet.
No, we don't have that person on board.
I know we have a crop scientist, but I thought she also had, was a grazing specialist.
Yes, so different levels. And do you remember when Heidi Johnson did this? She talked about the layering thing.
Yeah.
Heidi Johnson was our Ag Institute director.
Correct.
So yes, we do have a grazing specialist who is considered what they call an outreach specialist at the state level. He was recently hired, and his name is Natasha. Jason Cavatini. Okay, so he is, do you know what county where he's
He's up
staying?
by Wausau.
Yeah, he's out of the Marshall Research Station.
Okay, so yes, those positions are in place. Those are not county dollar funded or supported
Okay.
at this time. And I don't anticipate that they will be.
With our current crop specialist, we can consider herself as a grazing specialist
So
and
so
possibly
actually.
apply.
Livestock, yeah, okay. Okay, so you're referring to the fact that I mentioned at one point that I do graze animals myself.
Correct.
Okay, so yes, I am a grazer. Grazing, so the animal management side of grazing is over in the animal program, okay? The pasture management side of grazing is in the crops and soils program. So I actually am currently working with producers on pasture management. I wrote an article on pasture management in sand last week that will be published very soon. And so I currently am really enjoying my job in crops and soils. I love the crops and soils team at UW. So I don't foresee myself applying for that job. I am really excited to work with whoever that person is and be able to maybe share some things because our knowledge will overlap. But no, I don't, I like where I am. I'm loving cropping. I'm learning a lot about soybeans. I could literally talk to you about how excited I am about soybeans for like an hour. So, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. I just like to check those things out because sometimes I believe in a local, and since we have somebody local that might be able to do that, I just thought I'd bring it up. Thank you for the comment.
Thank you for the consideration. I do want to mention that the mileage then, that's in the budget, you're budgeting also for a livestock educator to have mileage because we do drive out to farms and stuff. And so mileage is part of that too. So divided by four. Yes. So only a quarter of my mileage dollars get paid by this county.
Thank you. Pat, would you keep us informed on the other county jumping in or not?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
would
ma'am.
Pat also consider in the hiring somebody that has experience in grazing specialist rather than just confinement livestock?
The livestock position versus the grazing position for the county, okay, was determined by the staffing plan that Heidi Johnson put together. And so I have to follow those directives, and I can share your concern up the root chain, absolutely. But the way that she mapped this out was that then the individual that's working with livestock then would be in conversation with that grazing specialist on a regular basis if they needed input or information from them.
Pat, I think he's speaking to whether or not the person we hire for as a livestock educator would have knowledge about grazing animals and not just confinement.
Is that what you're,
That's what I was
okay, yeah, I will make a note of that so that when we are screening applications, if we get to that point, which would be a great thing, that would be something that would also be interesting. That livestock here is that, okay, I get it. The livestock isn't just about confinement, but it's about livestock like beef that are moving about in the field and how do they best be produced using that methodology.
Well, that's part of it. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I also want to apologize. This is the first time I've gone through the budget process in Adams County, and it seems like I neglected to bring along the goals and the, what are those called? The expectations that each of our educators put together because I didn't know I was supposed to. So
That's fine.
That's okay.
Just to be here to answer questions is sometimes more valuable than
Okay.
having a bunch of goals that are out there that maybe sometimes don't mean a lot.
well,
Thank you.
one thing that means a lot that I've had a conversation with Jody about is that we need to, and I feel that our staff is doing that already, continue to foster cross-programming so that if Natasha's really good at something and we can really count on her, that Dustin shouldn't have to go out and hire somebody to do that. Or if Dustin has somebody in his department that's really great at something that he could maybe find, something that we have an extension to offer so that we're using all of our dollars the most effective way that we can.
And to that note, Carolyn, your new person who you will meet later today, she and I met for an hour and a half this morning. So
You're who, Carolyn?
I'll be introduced a little later.
Okay. All right. No, I just appreciate having your staff on board so that we can ask more questions. I'm not a big Zoom fan. So, thank you very much.
So we'll keep bringing them up here so you can see them and get to know them well. And so when you see them in the grocery store, you'll know who they are.
We don't want to take them away from their busy jobs, but it's nice to see them occasionally
Okay.
and be able to question them in person.
So my next to do will be to let you know, Jody, I'll let you know what's going on with Marquette County's decision next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Okay.
So that would be a goal that I would like to see. Pat and I did discuss it, that there's more of a liaison between the two departments so that we're not, we don't have redundancy. There's more networking, there's more use of everybody's skills. So that's a goal I would recommend. Are there any other goals for UW Extension specifically that the committee would like to see? Do
Madam
you
Chair,
guys want to mention any of the goals that you came up with in the department?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Cynthia.
may I, so as these ideas are coming forth now, may we also consider those as part of the board retreat that's scheduled for August 29th There is a survey that's going to be coming out soon, and so please keep in mind these ideas that you have and also share at that time as well.
Sounds great, thank you. Perhaps Pat, you could send some of the goals. We could email them. That would be great. That would be great. That way we're aware of them. Okay, all right. We're gonna move on to land and water then. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Okay. FSA report, Dorian, if you could use your microphone.
We met on July 7th. We just did a lot of procedural type stuff and just crop reporting was due on the 15th. So other than that, not lots going on.
Thank you. Any questions for Doreen? Seeing none, we're gonna move on to the Central Sands Groundwater County Collaborative. I attended a meeting on 7/29 at Saratoga Town Hall. The discussion was had on the departure of the lead researcher by the name of Dr. Carla Romano. She was affiliated with Wisconsin Geological and Natural History Survey. Dr. Romano was gathering data to form a better understanding of nitrate and neonicotinoid, I'm gonna butcher this, yeah.
Neonicotinoid.
Neonicotinoid contamination patterns in the Central Sands region of Wisconsin. So Dr. Romano will be working at DADCAP, and it was surmised that she will be involved with the new Act 223, which is a nitrogen optimization pilot program. So I do have a handout on that if anyone's interested at the end, I could share. So other than that, funding is always an issue, and that was discussed also. So are there any questions on that? Sure.
So as of July 18th, you do have the Central Sands Agricultural Water Quality Outreach Specialist from Extension. We should have said this during the extension portion, but so the Wisconsin Potato Vegetable Growers Association, in line with other stakeholders, when Heidi was here, she talked about funding for those additional positions, and one of them is a ag water quality person specific for the Central Sands. I am working with him on his schedule. He is based out of Stevens Point. He covers all of the Central Sands. He's not a county employee, he is state funded, but he does want to meet you guys. So I am planning on bringing him around to one of these meetings at some point based on his schedule, so.
Natasha, what is his name?
Wolong Liang,
Could you spell that?
Guolong, last name Liang. And he is,
Thank you.
he just finished his master's and he did work at Hancock during his master's, so he is familiar with the area.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, take care.
All right. Any other questions on that? Okay. Lake Alliance report. Chuck, do you want to speak on any of the topics on the Lake Alliance?
Yeah, I missed the last meeting. My wife had been taken down to emergency. I missed the meeting.
I hope she's doing better.
She's doing real good right now.
Good, good.
Thank you.
You bet. Bill, are you on? Okay, so Bill didn't attend. All right, well, the report was included. Did everyone read it? Okay. All right, let's go to the DADCAP report. Were there any questions, concerns on the DADCAP report? Seeing none, we will go to the dams report, which is the presentation on county-owned dams.
How do I get back to that screen?
Pardon me?
How do I get rid of the report that came up, the budget?
hang tight, we're just seeing what's going on.
Megan, would you be able to make me a co-host so I can share my screen here?
All right, so now he'll share his screen. You can watch the same up there. All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Cynthia?
so before we start the presentation, I just want to kind of maybe give a background of what drove us to this point of producing this presentation for this committee. When I first started here, I was trying to get acquainted with statutorily required versus non-statutorily required areas of the county. One area that came up during that time was solid waste, and another is the dams. I was just wondering, you know, how is it that what is the history of the dams? I found it very interesting. And so if I find it interesting, I figured that others would also find it interesting. And then at the end of this presentation is sort of an open dialogue discussion about what to consider going forward. But with that, I'll turn it over to Kyle.
Thank you. Megan is having problems sharing with you guys, so hold on.
There he is.
Madam Chair, since we're waiting and probably having some technical difficulties here, I'd also like to provide, this project was a combined effort with Kyle Patterson, Samuel Bortz, and then also Dustin Brandt and myself.
Everyone here, Cynthia? This was a combined effort between Dustin, Kyle Patterson, Sam Bortz,
Yep, and then,
and yourself, Cynthia, did you
Yes.
say?
Yes.
yeah, we had quite a bit of help with all the research too along the way from registered deeds, county clerk, land and water, library even.
Hey Kyle,
Team effort, thank you.
Kyle.
Oh, there we go. I got it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, we're just going to go through a history of all the Adams County dams. So where are all the dams? Throughout the county, there's approximately 67 dams. Around 19 of the dams are located, are part of the Leola drainage ditches. So they're in the northeast part of the county. There are dams located in every municipality except for the towns of Monroe and Big Flats and the cities of Adams and Wisconsin Dells. So all but 4 municipalities in the county have a dam. So the Adams County dam locations, you can see all the green dots here identifying where all the dams are located throughout the county. So not all of the dams create artificial impoundments or man-made lakes. And again, most of the dams are located in Leola and are part of the drainage system and do not create any sort of significant body of water. So right up here in this area where that red circle is. Moving on to the county-owned dams, because we have 67 dams, but only 9 of them are owned by the county. They're located in towns of Rome, Preston, Easton, Newchester, Jackson, and Del Prairie. So you can see all the dots here throughout the county. So again, the county owns 9 dams, and we're going to list them all in date order on when we actually acquired the dams. So one is in the town of Preston, and that created Roach Lake. So these are all hyperlinked. So this whole slideshow was attached just a little bit ago. So you should be able to click the hyperlinks. It didn't block my pop-up, and would be able to pull it up. Okay. So this is just a picture of Roach Lake. There's Highway 13 right here. And again, this is in the town of Preston. And then over on the west side is actually where the dam is located. And you can see just a close-up of the dam, close-up aerial. And let's see, 4 of them are located in the town of Rome. They create Arrowhead, Sherwood, Upper and Lower Camelot lakes. So I'm going to click through them here. I'll show you a aerial of Arrowhead. And this is, again, this is just to familiarize everyone, because not everyone may be aware of where all these dams are located. So Arrowhead Lake is this whole body of water here. The dam is on the west side of there. Highway 13 is just to the east over here. This used to be, I think, County D, west of 13 there. And then here's a close-up of Arrowhead Dam, just on 15th Ave in the town of Rome. Sherwood. So this is just an aerial of the lake right here. Highway 13 is right here, the big red line there. And then Sherwood Dam is on the west side. And then here's a close-up of the dam. It's right next to Highway 13 there. Then we have Upper Camelot. So there's a upper and a lower Camelot. Essentially, they're just connected by this big channel right here. So Upper Camelot Lake, and then Upper Camelot Dam is right there. And I'm going to have a close-up of the dam there. Just Kingsway just crosses right over Upper Camelot Dam. And then you have Lower Camelot Dam. So here's Lower Camelot Lake, and then the dam is right over there, and you can see the channel connects all the way over to Upper. And then a close-up of that dam. I think there's a biking trail and a walking path going over that. Is that right, Megan?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Was that the one that with the escape? Yeah, the one we visited? Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's an emergency escape plan, I believe, as well.
Kyle, what time of year were these photos taken?
2020, I think. They're from our
They were filmed. My bad. They were done in April of 2020.
Thank you. Sorry. Turning off the mics.
So moving on to another town. One is in the town of Del Prairie, and that creates Fawn Lake. So here's an aerial of Fawn Lake. Highway 13 right here. And this is just all Fawn Lake, and the dam is on the west side there. And we'll have a close-up of that dam. So just right there. One is in the town of Easton, and that creates Easton Lake. So yeah, April 2020 is when these photos were taken, and that was when Easton Lake was drained. So you can kind of see the outline of where Easton Lake was, and then on the west side is where the dam is located. This is County Road A in the town of Easton, and just to the west, about a mile, I think, is Highway 13. And then here's the close-up of Easton Dam. So right there, and then it just goes under 11th Drive. One is in the town of Newchester, and that creates McGinnis Lake. So we're going to show the aerial of McGinnis Lake here. And then all the way down on the south end is where the dam actually is located. This is, what county highway is that, Dusty? G?
Yes.
Okay. I always get those ones mixed up for whatever reason. And then here's a close-up of McGinnis Dam.
Kyle, can you hold on one second? Bill Weber has a question.
McGinnis Lake, is it actually part of
Bill,
Nina Creek?
You need to.
Did you hear me?
McGinnis Lake, is it part of Nina Creek?
I don't think it is, but I'm not sure. It would be the headwaters of Nina Creek if it was. That creek's awful darn cold to be dammed up.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I think it kind of skirts around it somehow.
I can do a little digging and get you that answer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Then one more is in the town of Jackson that creates Peppermill Lake. Here's the aerial Peppermill. All the way on the east side is where the dam is located. Here's a close-up of the dam. County G is the one running north-south, I believe. All right. So all of the artificial impoundments that the county owns, they all have lake districts surrounding those lakes. So all 9 of them have a lake district in some form or another. All right, now we're going to move on to any resolutions relating to all county-owned dams. So this is just historical information. So it's just kind of showing what action was taken related to all dams in the county, not just one particular dam. So first resolution that we were able to locate in the clerk's office was Resolution 82 of 1973. That actually placed an advisory referendum question on the ballot of the next general election. That question read, should Adams County, Wisconsin in the future for valuable consideration as negotiated and established by agents of Adams County Board of Supervisors accept the transfer of ownership of dams creating and impounding artificial lakes within Adams County? So they're just asking, should the county own dams? So that was on the ballot of the next general election. So that would have been April of 74. The results were 1,532 no votes to 620 yes votes. So 3/4 of the county at that time voted that the county should not own dams. Resolution 60 of 1992. That one was establishing that the county would pay for all county-owned dams, maintenance and repairs through county tax levy and will not impose a special assessment. We're going to actually be talking about special assessments a little bit later on, so we'll kind of go into a little bit of detail there. All right, so the first dam that we're going to talk about, again, this is date order for the date that the county acquired the dams. So this is going to be Cottonville Dam that creates Roach Lake. So Resolution 2 of 1964 was presented to purchase the dam for $1, and this was to be purchased from Wisconsin Power and Lighting. That resolution was actually not adopted. 1 year later, they presented Resolution 14 of 1965, same resolution. That one was adopted with an amendment to cost share the maintenance with the town of Preston. And Resolution 85 of 65, that was adopted to grant authority to a committee to enter an agreement with the town of Preston related to the Cottonville Dam. There's a lot of activity with Cottonville Dam throughout this whole time period. So there's a lot of resolutions related to it. So the Resolution 86 of 65 was adopted that accepted the agreement between the town of Preston and the county. Resolution 88 of 66 was adopted in joint session with the town of Preston and the county board that they cooperate together for maintenance, repair, and method of construction of the dam. Resolution 89 of 66 was adopted in joint session. It adopted the cooperative contract. Resolution 69 of 72 adopted authorizing payment to the town of Preston for the county's share of maintenance. Resolution 43 of 1980 was adopted authorizing the county to apply for a transfer of ownership to Frank Gribble. The ownership was actually not transferred. We just entered into a 25-year lease, and that was him basically just generating power through the dam. And that's what actually currently is happening, but not with that individual. Resolution 112 of 1990 adopted authorizing repairs to Cottonville Dam. Resolution 59 of 91 authorizing repairs to Cottonville Dam. And again, I'm just picking out all the resolutions related to individual dams just to kind of paint a picture or give the history. Resolution 68 of 91 was adopted entering lease agreement with Charles Pfeiffer for hydroelectric power generation. Resolution 54 of 1996 was adopted entering into a 20-year lease agreement with Charles Pfeiffer. We couldn't find anything related to the current lease agreement, but it's currently leased by Ed Shanik. Currently, town of Preston does not share the maintenance cost, and I wasn't able to locate how the town of Preston's shared responsibility was nullified. All right. Then we're going to move on to Arrowhead, Sherwood, Upper Camelot, and Lower Camelot dams. So these lakes are the result of a private developer, and the whole area up in Rome is kind of generally known as the Tri-Lakes area.
Can I interrupt, please?
Yep.
Can we go back to the Cottonville Dam lease? It was signed in 96 for 20 years, so that's expired.
Correct.
We do have a new lease with a different operator.
Is it Ed?
Yes.
So he did sign a new lease?
As of 2000.
Was it 2016?
2013 was when he signed it, so it's good until 2033.
Okay, so first resolution related to Tri-Lakes was Resolution 9 of 1967. It was urging the State Land Commission to sell 640 acres of land in what is now the area around Sherwood and Camelot. The specific area referenced was Section 16, Town 20 North, Range 6 East. And I'll show that on the map. It's this whole border that's outlined here. So this is the upper Camelot Dam, and then Lower Camelot Dam is just to the east here. So this 640 acres was once owned by the state. Resolution 10 and 11 of 1967 supported N.E. Isaacson and Associates Incorporated in obtaining 40 acres where South Camelot Dam is located. So N.E. Isaacson was the private developer for that area. So here's the 40 acres. It's just another picture of Lower Camelot Dam, and I believe just south of here is where the county forest area is. So the resolutions actually went so far as to potentially condemn the parcel as the owners were unwilling to sell the parcel to N.E. Isaacson. The county ended up facilitating the purchase and construction of Lower Camelot Dam. And upon completion of the dam, the county was to own and maintain the dam. Resolution 41 of 1971 supported N.E. Isaacson's pursuit to build Arrowhead Dam. The county would then own the dam upon completion. N.E. Isaacson would convey land to the county and the state for the parks, which is how we ended up with Arrowhead Park on the west side, and then there's some state land on the east side of Lake Arrowhead and county boat launch, I believe. Resolution 64 of 1971 is a record of support for Arrowhead Dam during the public hearing process. All right, and then this is just continuing on because there's a lot of history here with those ones. Resolution 22 of 1972 is authorizing transfer of ownership of South Camelot Dam to the county. So at this point, the dam's completed and then the ownership is now being transferred over to Adams County. Resolution 23 is 1972, accepting ownership of Sherwood Dam from N.E. Isaacson. So same thing with Sherwood Dam, it was done and they're transferring it over. Resolution 38 of 1972 was further support of the Arrowhead Dam and acknowledging transfer of ownership upon completion. Resolution 79 of 72 authorizing Adams County to be a co-applicant for construction of Arrowhead Dam. Resolution 75 of 73 was accepting ownership of Sherwood and both Camelot dams. I couldn't find too much history on Upper Camelot Dam, so this is actually the first time that both dams were referenced in that resolution. There wasn't too much there outside of that 640 acres and then just this resolution here. And then resolution 101 of 1992, funding repairs of Tri-Lake dams for $458,000, but that resolution is actually defeated. I'm not sure what ended up happening with those repairs that were needed at the time. All right, moving on to the next area, and this will be Fawn Lake. There's not as much history with this one. So resolution 24 of 1971, that was approving construction of the dam. Resolution 20 of 1974 was authorizing the county board chair to sign the application to the DNR to transfer ownership of Fawn Lake Dam after certain conditions are met. And then resolution 60 of 1974 was accepting ownership of Fawn Lake Dam and $5,000 from the previous owner. So we were paid to take over the Fawn Lake Dam. Easton Dam, all I was able to really find was resolution 11 of 1994, accepting ownership of Easton Dam. McGinnis Lake Dam, resolution 32 of 1996 was accepting ownership of McGinnis Lake Dam from Raymond Ferry. And resolution 26 of 1997 was authorizing legal acceptance and ownership of McGinnis Lake Dam. So this first one must have just been a preliminary one, and the final one is in 1997. Peppermill Lake Dam, resolution 25 of 1997 was accepting ownership of Peppermill Lake Dam as the current owners indicated their intent to abandon the dam. So the owners were just saying that they were going to drain the lake, basically take out the dam. So the county stepped in and took ownership of Peppermill Lake Dam. All right, so then moving on to how much has been spent on the dams. And we're looking at a 5-year period. Well, total time period of 15 years, but we're going at 5-year segments. And we're only going back to 2007 because our financial system doesn't go back that far with that much detail. So from 2007 to 2011, we spent on all the dams $1.44 million. There were 4 major projects during that time: Camelot Dam, subsurface drain installation, gate repairs, dam stem repairs; Sherwood Dam, tow drain project; Cottonville Dam, gate seals and repair of concrete wall; and then Easton Dam replacement. 2012 to 2016, we spent $523,000. There were 3 major projects: Cottonville Dam sloping project, Lower Camelot Dam actuator and gate repairs, and then Arrowhead Dam bulkhead construction and gate repairs. And 2017 to 2021, we had spent $436,000, and there were 2 major projects: the Fawn Lake Dam outlet structure repairs, and then there were some Sherwood Dam repairs completed. Grand total spend in 15 years was $2.4 million. From 2007 to 2018, staffing costs attributed to $153,000 of this. From 2007 to 2018, we had a part-time individual that was the dam operator. In 2018, I believe he retired, and we just didn't fill the position and just absorbed it through land and water staff that were existing. So then moving on, where did the funding actually come from for all of this? So from 2007 to 2021, we had about $500,000 in grants, and then just under $2 million would have been from tax levy. Then statutes related to municipal owned dams. So Wisconsin statutes 31.38. Again, this is clickable. So for anybody looking at this, you can click this and read the whole statute. Essentially, this statute allows municipalities to assess a special assessment for maintenance and repair of the dams. So a special assessment, who's allowed to do that? Wisconsin statute 66.0703 defines how those special assessments are charged, or only allows for cities, villages, and towns to charge special assessments. So a county is not able to charge a special assessment for owning and maintaining dams. All right, Cynthia, I think this is your area here. So consideration for sustainability.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so this, okay, so this part of the presentation is sort of an open dialogue, and I'll just have little subject matters that come up. And so the first item that comes up is levy. My understanding, and from what I can gather, that we assumed all of these dams without additional levy. There was reference in one of the referendums, or not referendums, but resolutions, that it was going to be on the levy. However, I never saw that the levy increased for the additional expenditures that we were assuming. So it is my speculation, and from what I gather, we have never sought more levy to absorb the expenses of taking on all of these dams. And I believe, Kyle, you had referenced that if we average it out, it's about $133,000 a year that we have to account within our operating budget, our normal
Correct.
operating budget.
Yeah, if we look back at how we had spent just under $2 million over 15 years, it was about $133,000 in tax levy per year. Right now, that's roughly what we budget for our capital.
Okay, so to me, that was kind of concerning, because what happens if you don't, so you heard that we cannot assess, we can't have a special assessment, however, we can levy. We never asked for more money. We never had a referendum that went forward asking the citizens, who we know, right, said, no, do not own dams. So a referendum never went forward to ask for money. I suppose if you look at what the original direction was, you can kind of get an idea where a referendum asking for more money for the support of dams would be, right? So that was never sought. And again, we touched on the annual cost being around 133,000, but that's sort of arbitrary because we don't know what's coming. You know, we don't know what damages we might see in the future. One is Easton Dam that came up. There is liability risk that we've assumed by taking on all these dams, and Kyle, I think you may have to click 3 times to bring all those up. There's 3 classes of risk, and Dusty, since you're pretty savvy in this area, correct me if I'm wrong. I'll just go. So if you see class 1, obviously that's low. Those are more of what, like retention. What is that? What puts it in that category?
A lot of times on a class 1, to be the low hazard rating, there would be virtually no residences or structures downstream in the floodplain. So if it failed, if the dam just disintegrated today and the water rushed downstream, it wouldn't necessarily cause damage to property structures. The higher the class number, the higher the number of structures that can be affected. I believe the type of structure and also factors into the class rating, and that's set by the DNR.
Okay, so you can see from this schedule that most of our dams are high risk. Can I make that assumption there based on that? Most of our dams are considered high risk. Okay, fund balance reserve. So if you'll recall, those of you who were on the board at the time, we did a one-time infusion from sales tax of $1 million into the dams. And Kyle, what is that current reserve sitting at?
Currently it's right around $1.5 million, but by the end of the year, once we put all the budgeted sales tax in there, it should be close to $2 million.
So the question comes to mind is that enough? Is that sufficient? And that's a hard question to answer. So you first turn to, well, we obviously have insurance on the dams. What is the, what's the premium versus what's the, if there is an incident, what is the copay or whatever? So Kyle, what is that? Did you find out what we would have to come up?
Deductible, I believe, would be $5,000.
Oh, so it's a $5,000 deductible, but then there's a cap of, was it $1 million?
Yeah.
Okay, so per incident, it's a 5 deductible with $1 million cap. So again, what is enough? We have 9 dams. What is enough to have in the reserves? Is it underfunded or are we properly funded? That's something that we're currently working on, do a little bit more analysis on. Okay, lake districts. So Kyle mentioned that all of our dams, all the lakes do have a district of some sort that are taking care of the area. Now, what's happening is I'm being approached by some districts for financial assistance. And I just want to remind everyone that if you looked up, if you recall, Kyle talked about assessments. And assessments, municipalities can do assessments, so can lake districts. The one additional thing that districts can do is also levy. They have an option. They can do assessments or they can do a levy. They could also do an outreach to get community, donations for taking care of the lakes. And I was approached by a lake district that where we do not own the dam, seeking roughly $600,000 from the county through ARPA funds. So I'm just kind of sharing that information. I don't know. My first reaction was, not sure if we can assist, because if we do that, we're going to have to assist all dams with lake districts if we start doing that. And the argument, or I guess a good argument could be from the lake districts, is that their district is being levied for the support of all county-owned dams, yet they have their district dam that they take care of. In this instance, they own the dam. It's not a county-owned dam, but they are paying a levy. So I want to kind of refer back to what I said earlier. I did not see anywhere where we charged more levy to recoup the cost of incorporating all of the dams into our operating budget. What happened is that it put more pressure on our operating budget to find space. Whether we sacrificed equipment, we sacrificed software, we made some sacrifice to get it to work out. So I just want to share that as well. So with that, I guess, argument would be that we never charged any more in levy dollars for taking on these dams. And then what do you, municipal support. Municipal support. There may or may not be consideration in the future to perhaps go out to the municipalities for support. Why is the county bearing all the expenses when there are certain municipalities that benefit their citizens? Yes, they're county citizens, but they're also municipal citizens. Is there a way to somehow get support from the municipalities? We already know that if we were to give the ownership back to the municipalities, those who can have assessments, right? It will not impact their levy unless they choose, but they can also do a special assessment to carry on the burden of their, having the dam. And it's not going to be $133,000 number, right? That's all 9 dams. Each municipality will see a smaller amount, a prorated share of that. So the consideration is, do we look into perhaps having the municipalities take ownership, or do we seek some assistance from the municipality level coming back, or do we do nothing? I mean, all this is just things to consider. Status quo is maybe too comfortable, and we always need to be challenging ways to either save money or, address the sustainability situation here. Are there any comments?
Yes. I have a-
Hold on, Bill. Phil had his hand up first. Bill, can you use your microphone?
Yeah. Just a brief comment. I think during the period of early on when I was chairman up in Rome, I think there was correspondence or discussion about Rome taking back the dams up there. And I gotta tell you, nobody in there, well, I didn't finish that. I thought that was not a good idea, but absolutely for the liability risks and everything. And so, we didn't take them. But some towns might, like Kyle pointed out too, that they have options afforded to them to do special assessments that the county doesn't, so.
Bill?
Several things here. So is it 133,000 to maintain all the dams or just each dam? All. Okay, and does that include each dam as an insurance policy, or Okay, and how much of that 133,000 is the insurance policy?
So that 133,000 does not include insurance. We did punch some numbers yesterday when we were looking at our insurance policy, and roughly $10,000 if you go based on valuation or insured value.
$10,000 for all dams, and that's only for, that's up to $1 million max and a $5,000 deductible. Okay. So that's actually an expense, isn't it? Insurance, you didn't include that? Isn't it an expense?
Yeah, that's another added expense. The $133,000 is roughly what we're budgeting for capital.
Plus
For
10,000
the
for
dams.
insurance?
Yep, 10,000 for insurance, and then there is also another payment that we make to Tri-Lakes. Is that 10,000 a year, Dusty?
Yes,
And that is for,
For them operating the dams.
Dustin said yes.
so
Pat, I don't know if
Tri-Lakes
you heard him.
operates the dams for the county? So we.
Just
can-
their dams.
It's their dam.
well, no,
I thought these were county.
no,
dams.
no, no. They operate those dams on the Tri-Lakes. They're in Rome, they wanted a little more hands-on control. So we contract with a couple of individuals to operate our dams.
Okay,
I think he was referring to like their dams and
and we pay $5,000 a year to that,
10,000.
10,000. So that's another 20,000. With the insurance policy and the, are there any other expenses that we're not including in the 133?
So originally, when we were putting, okay. When
I think
originally,
that what they've done, Bill,
Can you hear me?
they've taken the 2,000,000.4, the 2.7 million and divided it by the amount of years that they've been paying, and have come up with an average of $133,000 for the 9 dams per year. We could go a year in good luck and have no expenses on any dams. And we could have, like Easton, break and have a very large expense. So I think the average is turned into the $133,000. Now the 10 and 10 are reoccurring charges for insurance and then operating, paying the operators in Rome.
Ask another question? Sure. All these dams are in a lake district, is that correct? And lake districts can levy? Counties can't, right? But lakes can?
Special
Lake
assessment, special assessment charges, is that correct, Cynthia? Is,
okay, can you guys hear me?
yes.
All right, lake districts have an option. They can do assessments or they can do a levy. The problem if they choose levy is that they will be experiencing what we experience, which you have a cap. There is a levy limit, a number amount that you cannot exceed. It's to protect, you know, the property taxpayers. However, on the assessment side, there is no limit. And what happened with the district that's pursuing assistance here of 600,000 was that it originally was an assessment, and then the next year it became a levy, and there could have been a cap issue there. They were not able to recoup all the expenses.
As an example, Motion Cree has a $100 special assessment annual that was approved years ago
Per
per property owner, per lot
lot, just on.
In the Lake District,
Just on the
in the Lake District
Right.
of
so not the,
200,
So are the farms in the lake
213.
district?
No, there's 213 lake owners on Roach Creek that have a lot.
Is the insurance just insurance on the dam itself?
The insurance, and the reason why this is probably not part of the calc is that Insurance is kind of hard to determine because it is a pool of assets that we have that fall in. And then we have to do another analysis to say how much of that pool relates to dams. So we're not able to like pinpoint the exact dollar amount. So that 10,000 is an estimate.
But that is just on the dam itself. It's not like insuring any of the property, private property around or anything like that. Because I would assume that that's a floodplain. They would have to hold their own insurance for their housing and property, privately owned.
Cynthia, you wanna speak to that, or-
Well, and wait for Kyle to kind of, he's the
Yeah.
insurance guy.
I'm
asked
not
the
sure how our insurance would cover if our dams were to break and damaged other property. I don't know what the actual coverage would be. It'd probably be a very specific question to ask our insurance company. But the way that we kind of figured out how much roughly we're paying for insurance is we took our premium, took our total property values, and the dams are classified as property in the open. So you have like property in the open, you have buildings, vehicles, that type of stuff. So we took the total valuation of all of our property in the open and all of our buildings, because those are one premium, and then figured out the percentage of the valuation, what the dams were. So that came out to roughly $10,000.
Thank you. Go ahead, Phil.
I think we can answer our own question if I understood the way I think I did. The deductible's 5,000, the max is $1 million, so that's gotta be, that's only, I can answer the question, that can only be the dam. So what's $1 million gonna be paid for? 2 houses downstream? So,
If, probably not that, Phil.
well, I'm just making a point.
Yeah.
It's gotta be just for the dam.
Your point is well
No
taken.
way, with $1 million cap, you ain't gonna pay for much of anything.
Dams are a tremendous liability is what we're trying to do.
And another consideration is remember the classes of risk that a majority, I think there's 5 dams then, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6 dams. 6 dams that may be in the category of being high risk. Is 2 million in the reserves enough? I mean, we're not looking to get answers today. Today is just kind of giving you estimates on numbers and just sort of giving you a little bit of a better picture or maybe understanding of what we're looking at internally, operationally.
Excuse me, the reserve comes from where? Was it sales tax and where else does that come from?
$1 million one-time infusion from sales tax in the prior year. And Kyle, I believe the rest is levy over the
Correct.
years.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's been
Yep.
tax levy essentially.
So 133 has been budgeted every year to be part of the operational levy, operation levy.
Chuck, you have your hand raised. Did you wish to say anything?
Wrong Chuck.
Wrong Chuck. Oh,
Call me
Chuck
Chuck.
Sparks. Chuck, do you wish to add any comments or questions?
Yes, thank you. My name is Chuck Spargo. I live at 102 East Lake Street on Friendship Lake. I'm representing the Friendship Lake District on this call. I'm the chair of the Financial Advisory Committee for the Lake District. I am not on the board. I'm not an officer. I am the individual that approached the county manager to let her know of the situation that the Friendship Lake District has found itself in. I have comments, but I also have a question. How many dams that the county does not own create lakes besides the Friendship Dam? Do you know?
Is a good question.
I know that when we were originally putting all this stuff together, we kind of had to draw the line in how much information is too much information. But early on, I think that was a question I put out there. And Kyle, I think you have a spreadsheet.
I do have a spreadsheet. It is, and like what I don't know what it would classify a lake, because like for example, I think this one down in Springville, that is a property owner who has a dam right off of 82, I believe, and it creates a body of water from a stream, but would that really be a lake? It's all private. Yeah, so that's kind of a difficult question to answer, I guess, unless you put definitions on how many acres the lake has to be, that type of stuff.
Okay, that's a good point. But I suggest that your exposure to other dams that create impounded bodies of water might not be as great as you might think, even if you helped the Friendship Lake District. And let me clarify that the assistance that we are asking for is not in terms of the normal operating expenses of the Lake District, but rather the capital expenditures that, had the county owned it, the county would have been liable for in the acquisition and repair of the dam after 30 or 40 years of negligence. My comment also is that while I consider all of the lakes in the county to be an asset that is worthwhile for the county to own, operate, and maintain, if the county decides that that is not the case, that they don't want to any longer own the dams, I think the property owners around Friendship Lake would feel left out of the financial picture if there was no support from the county, given the history that the county has supported all of the other dams. And whether or not a special levy was done, it was tax dollars that supported that. One other complicating factor in the Friendship Lake District was when it was created 30 years ago, there are roughly 300 members in the Lake District. 200 of them do not own Lakeshore. Only 100 property owners own Lakeshore. And because of what we recently learned after going through the condemnation process and how taxes are levied, we found that since the beginning, we had been levying taxes incorrectly. And for capital expenditures, we had to levy taxes equally among all property owners, not differentiate between those of us that own Lakeshore property and those that are off the lake that were included in the Lake District. So we've got a situation where people that don't own Lakeshore, but were included in the Lake District, are paying a significant amount based on what we were directed by attorneys as the proper taxing methodology when you make capital investments. Thank you.
So we're not looking for, can you guys hear me? So we're not looking to make any decisions today. This is just an open dialogue discussion to see if there's a direction we need to kind of go in the future. And perhaps this too can show up on the surveys that go out for the board retreat for further discussion.
Cynthia, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are there municipalities that are seeking to re-own the dams?
I had Kyle research local counties that own dams. I said, how typical is this that Wisconsin counties own dams? And he came back with something very interesting that at least I found it interesting, is that some counties that actually own dams own the land around it as well. Like it's forest, it's for the community. It's Kyle, maybe you want to kind of, that was interesting.
Yeah, the individual that Dusty had reached out to the individual and it works at the DNR with a lot of dams. Let's see here. He said roughly 20 counties own dams, but like one specific example that I've always gone back to is like you look at Wood County to the north. Wood County, so there's 4 that I know of that they own. There's 2 at Northwood County Park. All of that is campground area, county forest area. There's 1 at Lake Wazeecha. probably 95% of that entire lake shore is county owned and has bike paths, walking paths all the way around it. They do the ski show there. And then you have Lake Dexter. That whole shoreline is owned by the county, and then they have camping and county forest. So that's just one example that I know of, but I'm not sure what the other like 18 counties are that own dams and how they own the lake shores around them. Or if
So
they
Madam Chair,
Yes, Cynthia?
to address your question on whether we should pursue this, going, I guess, assuming going back to the municipalities. I understand the struggle that would be on the municipality. They do not have, we're a county, we tend to have deeper pockets, if you will, for a better word. And we also have personnel. So we have personnel, we have the funds, but for us to bear all of it, that's where I kind of struggle. Do we ask for assistance from the municipalities of some sort, or do we give it back to the municipalities and we give them a little bit of funding? However it works, it just seems to me that this is a mutual beneficial thing for both municipalities and the county. The county, I mean, I understand why we went the direction we did, because again, we have the wherewithal to take care of the dams and to promote a community and development and all that goes with it. I mean, I understand that, but does this make sense going forward? We need to really look at where we're headed and is this sustainable over the years?
Thank you. So I'm gonna just assume that there aren't municipalities knocking down the door trying to get their dams back into their ownership. Is that correct?
That's yes, obviously no one's knocking at our doors. And then the question is, what happened to Preston? What happened that Preston agreed to do the maintenance on the Cottonville? What happened that just all of a sudden stopped? And then the county took it over.
If you want municipalities to take back their dams, just remove them or tell them we'll remove them. I bet you they'll be jumping at it.
Yeah,
I think the depth of pockets with the money is not there, Doreen. So to me, I don't think you can assume that they could afford it any better than the county can afford it. So.
Well, excuse me, but it's like buying an 80-year-old car. Unless it's a restored classic. But who wants to buy a 65-year-old dam? Or take on responsibility for that?
Yeah, we wouldn't sell it. We would probably just give it
I understand. But
with an incentive, like a dollar incentive. But I don't know. There's parts of me that think that that's probably the way to go, but then I kind of struggle with being on the municipal side, understanding their dilemma with budgets, and we all experience levy limits. However, guess what they get to do? Special assessments. That's just a consideration.
Okay, I just wanted to, I thought of something that I was gonna ask earlier and I forgot. Anyway, with the dams up in Rome and the operators being from up there, is the insurance company aware that non-county personnel are operating those dams, and is that all okay?
Are you gonna take that count? My understanding is they're a contracted employee, so they would be one of our assignees and they would be covered under the insurance policy.
Yeah, I believe so, because there'd be a contract related to that.
And the contract, I think, even addresses the liability portion of it. I'd have to pull a copy of it.
I just was gonna say, neither one of you sound extremely confident, but
Yeah, so with that, because I'm seeing the hesitation there too, is that typically when you do a contract employee, they have to be bonded. They have to prove that they're bonded. So we are going to look at those agreements to make sure. And again, this is great to be having this discussion, because things like this will come up that, yes, we haven't done enough. We need to kind of research a little bit more. And then as far as getting a direction today, I'm not really looking for that, just sort of sharing information so that when this comes around during the board retreat or part of the survey, that you'll have a little bit you'll be a little bit more savvy about the history and how we got here. And what the need is going forward.
Thank you both for the presentation and the amount of detail that you've provided us with. Are there any other questions? Go ahead, Bill.
I would like to see, I think this was a great presentation today, but I would like to see less options from the administrator at this time until we have a chance to get around to what we actually have here. And throwing out options right now to the public is not a good thing to do. So I would ask that options be closed at this time, except to this committee and any other committee that feels they are part of this. And I'd like to hash and find out what we actually have. It's a very good presentation, but it just raises a lot of questions. Thank you.
I think that was the intention, is to raise questions, but also recall, Bill, that we're transparent to the public. Anyone can zoom in at any of these meetings
We
and,
have closed meetings all the time.
right, well, this one was not closed,
Right.
so,
We don't have to throw out options right now,
no. It's just talk at this point,
but there has been options thrown out.
correct? To consider. Okay, Cynthia and Kyle, is there anything else you wish to add?
Nope.
Thank you very much. Okay. We have the staff report. Are there any questions that Dustin can elaborate on for his staff? That anyone has? I do want to make everybody aware that on Anna James area, the well testing public presentation is this evening at Rome Town Hall at 6 p.m. I don't know if that is just for the people getting their wells tested or if anyone can attend. Okay, and that the gentleman from Stevens Point is going to be there, Kevin Missouri, to explain the process, or
Well, this was the educational component of the whole well testing. They started getting their results back, or not started, they've now gotten their results back. Maybe it was a less than stellar test. He's gonna go over it. You know, here's some of the things you can do to rejuvenate your well, or well, you're kind of, you know, at the point where you need to do this. What do the results even mean? A little bit of just a lot more detail than you'd have gotten on a slip of paper saying, oh, your nitrates are high. Okay, well, what is all this? And as far as I know, it's open to anybody, but I think the vast majority of the people that are gonna be there are ones that actually have. Right, that's part of the 3 towns.
were there any other questions for the, oh, Carolyn, can we introduce the new land conservationist? Okay,
Should I introduce myself now?
you bet.
Okay, I'm just gonna come stand over this side so I can see
Just
you
make
all.
sure- Make sure you're talking to them like, yeah.
Megan's always taking care of me. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for letting me be present for this meeting. I'm Carolyn Crowley. I'm the new land conservationist for the department. Really happy to be joining the team. I have a bachelor's from Wheaton College in Massachusetts in environmental science and a master's of science in a very long title, biological and environmental sciences, with a specialization in ecology and ecosystem science. So my professional background over the last decade is primarily in wetlands and wildlife, but I've been able to be a part of a lot of different kinds of conservation work, both in the United States and abroad. So I'm really excited to be here in Adams County and serving the community. So please, always feel free to contact me. And again, thanks for letting me come along to the committee tour on my first week. That was a really great experience, but happy to be here and looking forward to working with all of you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Does anyone have any questions for Carolyn? Okay, you're off the hook. Justin, do you have anything else you want to share in terms of the staff report?
No, they're doing great. I hope you guys all agree that the tour went very well. Got to see a lot of the county and a lot of stuff that the staff works on a regular basis. The wall testing is complete. It covered very well in the report.
All right. I'm assuming there's no questions. Are there any questions? Okay. Going on to the financials, they were attached. Are there any questions on the financials? Looking around, I see none. Going to the 2023 department proposed budget. I'm going to make the same entertainment of a motion to move the proposed budget forward in the budget process to include the finance director and county manager, with the understanding that any changes will come back to the committee for approval before moving on to the administrative and finance committee. Scott Krug first, Bruce second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion is passed. Krug and then Mose, yep. Do we wish to open this for discussion? Or are we pretty much, okay? Okay, going on to communications. Anything?
I'm not aware of any.
Megan, no? Okay, next meeting date is September 6th, 2022 at 1 p.m. Is there any other further business?
I don't know if Cynthia and Kyle are still on. I did find the agreement for the management of Tri-Lakes. Tri-Lakes shall provide to Adams County proof of liability insurance in an amount not less than $1 million. So there is, that is part of the contract.
And that's, did you say they provide it or?
Tri-Lakes. We contract with Tri-Lakes. Tri-Lakes hires whoever they choose,
Okay,
and Tri-Lakes has to demonstrate they have $1 million.
Yeah, on Tri-Lakes, we have the insurance
Right.
on board there, yeah.
okay, thank you. All right, seeing there's no further business to be discussed, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.